And why that is fascinating is because at the time, I was on that quest. I was so fascinated by sevens, I wanted to know how many different sevens there were because I'm wondering if there's something to it. Only I hadn't spoken that to anyone. And there it is. Did you find your 3 stories? Dad used to wear a watch, but I'm allergic to nickels, so I can't. I'm going to do the technical thing. I might pick one myself afterward. Okay, Bean Creek. Like I said, this is just a really stupid little thing about the craziness that is my life. So this, too, was the rediscovery tour. Bean Creek was like a little hippie commune in the mountains of Northern California. Cool place. I chilled out there for like 2 days. I'm fairly certain there was some level of illegal activity going on around me. I found Bean Creek one night at an open mic at the Anarchist's bookstore, which I found talking to the crazy homeless guy on the corner, and that's how my life bounced me around. Crazy homeless guy, Anarchist bookstore, which, by the way, was a very fascinating experience. There is nothing like sitting in a building surrounded by books and materials and lights and listen to people say, "Fuck capitalism, fuck the system." Without it, you'd have none of this. So go ahead, fuck it all you want, you dumbass. So that's Bean Creek. Like, this is the way my life goes, even on a daily basis. The strangest things will lead me from point to point to point. Did you? Oh no, you guys picked this one. The day Goofy got fired. I thought maybe you'd pick it if you saw it. So, this one is not mine. I picked it up on my first quest. I was in Maine, in some Watertown, Waterburg, I don't know, something small. And through a series of stories, I end up hooking up with this Buddhist dude. Gave me a place to stay that night. He was really cool. The next morning, he and I and a couple of other guys went to breakfast and we told stories. Let me tell you something. Buddhists have some very fascinating stories. Do not let the beach robes fool you. So, at one point in his life, he worked at Disney World. And he said that on Friday and Saturday nights, it was very typical for cast members, and for those of you that don't know, anybody that works for Disney is a cast member. Is the same true for the store? Was the same true for the store? I thought so. Mike and I, well, Luch and I both worked for Disney Store, but I don't think we ever worked at the same time, maybe briefly once. Okay. So, he said it's Saturday night, they're all getting together, they're having a good time, the night's going on, Goofy's not coming, Goofy's not coming, Goofy's not coming. Finally, he shows up and I'm like, dude, what happened? And he said, I got fired. And he said, for what? And I'm not going to tell you yet. So now what you want to know about Disney is they are very strict about their big-headed costumes, and they should be. Those things are a beast. I've worn them. They're terrible. They're horrible. So Disney's rule, I think to this day, is 20 minutes in and 20 minutes out. That way you get to air off and breathe and get water. 20 minutes in, 20 minutes out, they are very stringent about that. So now this guy is already just a little bit over his 20 minutes, but he's taking the time to have a couple photos with the family. And another thing you want to know is that there is apparently a thing where you go to Epcot and you drink around the world, and then you go into Disney Park, which I really don't understand. Sounds like a kind of dumb plan to me. I don't mind puking when I drink, but I don't think I need to like stir it up or anything. So now it is spring break, and Goofy is taking this picture near the gate of Epcot Center. Then this group of front guys comes to the gate. Goofy! Take a picture with me! And Goofy was just like, oh. Alright, like what can it hurt, right? What can it hurt? One picture with the stupid drunk frat guy. So he agrees to take the picture. And 20 minutes later, this drunk frat guy is still hanging all over him. Goofy's had enough. And he leans over, and I've been in this position already. I never quite got as far as he did, but he leans over and he whispers through the big head, "Get the fuck off me." To which the drunk frat guy stammers back, and in front of families and children and everything, he says, "Goofy just told me to fuck off." To which Goofy responded by pulling back his big padded paw and clocking him. So Goofy got fired for knocking out a guest. I would have paid admission to that park just to see that. That is one of my stories. What else we got? We have one more. Oh, of course. So, my first job here at the Heinz Dinner Theater was to work backstage for a show called Love is a Many Splintered Thing. They had set pieces that moved on and off throughout the show, but the key to the whole show was there were 2 turntables up here that were hand operated. You had to pull on airline cable to get them to turn. Now, what we didn't know, and we did discover eventually, like a week and a half into the show, was that there was a caster offset on my side. I like that much. So every time the turntable hit a certain point, it would jam. Now, I couldn't move the thing. And I'm yanking, and all sorts of shit is going wrong. Every night for 2 weeks, I broke something new. I ripped speaker wire out of the wall. One night in the middle of the show, and I look up, and now I have a set change to do, and I look up, and I see this cable laying there, not connected to nothing. And it wasn't there before. No, it was DMX cable, and for those of you that don't know, that kind of runs the light system. And maybe I'm dumb, but in the dark and in a panic, DMX cable looks an awful lot like a microphone cable. And so that's what I thought, once again, I ripped the sound out. So I run up, and I try to plug it in, but I've got this cue coming. And so I go like this, and I didn't quite get it in right. And so apparently that's a problem for DMX. Because the next thing I know, every light on the stage is flashing. It's like a rave in here. And it was right in the middle of a love ballad. I went home all the time and thought, these sons of bitches are going to fire me. I can't believe they haven't yet. And I always talk about, they know, the big boss, he was here. And I'm pretty sure it was the night I ripped the speaker wire out. I thought for sure that was it. I was like, oh my God, again. And I'm trying to fix it, and I can see his feet come around the wing to the backstage. And I looked up. He was calm. He was cool and collected. He was patient. He was understanding. He was forgiving. And then I looked in his eyes, and that man wanted to kill me. And he admits that to this day. So, like Christmas time, because that was February, I learned through the grapevine that Big Boss had nicknamed me Godzilla during the run of the show. In fact, when he found out I knew, he took and showed me he had a wallpaper on his desktop in the office of Godzilla tearing through the city. So I went to the putter, who's a craftsman, and I said, I need you to do something for me. So he made it, and I painted it, and so I gifted this to the Big Boss, and that is Godzilla, well, Geist-zilla, tearing through the Heinz Dinner Theater, and I don't know if it still holds true, but at one point they told me they would actually bring this out during every rehearsal period.